What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show, where we review the movies and TV shows we've been watching. My name is Mike, and today we are discussing the Book of Boba Fett. We'll be starting off today with a bunch of Star Wars content in conjunction with Obi-Wan, the new series coming to Disney Plus. So we're really excited to bring a bunch of Star Wars stuff that we love. And so the we is my co-host. So Justin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I cannot wait to talk about my favorite Star Wars character of all time.
Oh, you might not like this episode. And Joe, how are you doing?
Oh, I am going to jump on that train and say, Justin, I am very excited to hear why he's your favorite and very excited to share what I've learned about him while watching the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so listeners, like I said, a bunch of Star Wars content coming your way to celebrate the new Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan. And so we wanted to start off with Book of Boba Fett. Now, if you guys are wondering, since we did announce last week that we were doing a Ready Player One review, don't worry, that will be coming just a little bit later on. Some things came up where I just personally was not able to rewatch the movie to really give you guys the best podcast that we could give you. So we're just pushing it a little bit back, and we are going to be doing some Star Wars content in the meantime. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. What are you doing if you're not? The button is so easy to click. You just click that, maybe click the bell notification so that you know when we upload our next video. Honestly, guys, we would really appreciate it. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. Again, I appreciate you so much if you guys do that. Also, we've been interacting with everybody who leaves comments on our YouTube stuff. So please go ahead and interact with us down in the comment section. If you're listening to the audio version, go ahead and check out the YouTube version and maybe subscribe. But also, please leave us a review. We really appreciate you if you do that as well. If you're on Spotify, you could leave us a 5-star rating over on the mobile app only. Okay. Like I said, a bunch of new Star Wars content is coming, so stay tuned to all the channels. We're really excited for the future. And finally, if you would like your own t-shirt with the new What the Fun logo, as well as our Test Your Might stuff, we'll have that link down in the description. It does help us out a little bit monetarily, but we're not looking to make a buck. We just wanted to give you the option to have these cool, awesome logos on a t-shirt of your own. And that's it. All right. Well,
we make about $1.
Huh?
We make about $1.
Yeah, I mean, we make a little bit more than $1, but if you buy a t-shirt, but regardless. Anyway, guys, Book of Boba Fett. Justin, I'm actually going to start with you because Boba Fett is your favorite Star Wars character. So we're going to give you the floor first. I'm going to start off with, what did you think of this series as a whole? And I'm going to change it up here. Because I think we have a lot of discussing to do. Series as a whole, give us your 5 out of 5 rating right away. So spoiler free and then 5 out of 5 rating.
So he is my favorite character, and he always will be. Nothing will change that, no matter what they do to him. Before this show, he had like 4 lines, and one of them was a scream. I just think the character itself, the fact that he's kind of like seeking revenge in a sense, but also a bounty hunter, and gets the job done, and the tools he has at his disposal to do so are not so much in the Star Wars universe, more of a sci-fi shooter universe, and I really like that aspect of having similar to the Mandalorian, different weapons and different tools that he can use that aren't lightsabers. And I feel that's a really strong point for a character in Star Wars alone, to go into, in a sense, a knife fight with a gun, but actually do good in it. Out of 5, the Book of Boba, I think, hits a strong 4. And that would be 4, rocket jetpack missiles out of 5. I feel like
Okay.
It did a good job. Or without spoiling anything, it could have excluded a different character. They didn't need to bring that character, the fan service, in. I feel like it could have completed its story properly without it. But I think that it was an okay nod, and it was an okay lead into the future.
All right.
Okay. 4 out of 5 from Boba Fett himself. Justin, thank you for your rating there. Joe, what did you think of Book of Boba Fett? Spoiler free, and this time I am going to ask you to elaborate.
So spoiler free, here we go. If you guys have been here for a while, you'll know that my spoiler free ratings tend to be a bit lacking, but it was good. It was decent. It was not my favorite out of the Star Wars universe. It's also not my least favorite out of the Star Wars universe because we have the prequels. So, I mean, that's good, right?
What's wrong with those?
Let's be kind here. What's wrong with it? Oh my goodness.
That's a fight for a different day.
That is a fight for another day. I enjoyed it after episode 4, I think is where I started to enjoy the show. So basically I enjoyed Mandalorian 2.5. And it was pretty good.
Spoilers.
That's not a spoiler. He's a Mandalorian. He's Boba Fett.
Yeah. I guess,
right?
But not really.
It's literally The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett. That's what it's called.
No,
it's more the Book of Boba Fett featuring the Mandalorian.
When they released,
cat's out of the bag.
Wasn't it Mandalorian, the Book of Boba
called
Fett?
the book. It's just called the Book of Boba Fett. But
Don't take that from me.
Sorry.
cat's
if I'm
out of
not
the
watching.
bag. If you have not seen it, Mando shows up in this movie.
Does he?
book.
The show.
Yeah,
Story?
The
Yeah,
show.
Yeah, well, see, that's why I don't do spoiler free. And now we know. Let's see, it was
The
it was
man
good, though.
who hates. I'm sorry, listeners. Inside
I don't
baseball
do
team,
spoilers.
Mind of Joe.
Which is
Joe
why my
hates
spoiler free
spoilers,
reviews are
which
so
is-
good.
Which is crazy that he just spoiled something for anybody who hasn't seen it. Anyway,
If you haven't seen it, that's on you. Blaming you. You've had time. It's basically free with any sort of subscription. And the show is
Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus. I mean, but you can get the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN bundle. If you already have ESPN, then they throw Disney Plus in for free. They make it easy, is what I'm saying. And it's a show. You should watch it. That's where I was gonna go to begin with, anyways. If you like Star Wars, watch it. If you have enjoyed the recent releases of The Mandalorian, then watch it. You're going to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. If you plan on watching the Obi-Wan series, watch this. It's going to help in that timeline. Just watch it. You're going to understand better some of the people, some of the stuff, some of the story, some of the content, some of the context. If you watch this series, I would implore you to watch it with an open mind and maybe go in without any assumptions of what you think it may be about. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it 2.5 Beskar spears.
out of 5. Okay, that's 2.5. All right. I just want to start off by saying, like, this is more Star Wars, right? Like, the reason that we switched over to, one of the reasons that we switched over to the What the Fun show is so that we can just talk about the stuff that we love, you know, that is not dependent on the 90s. And, you know, certainly we could have done that with the 90s first, but, you know, I feel like the core of this podcast is more grounded in What the Fun. And we all love Star Wars. And so the fact that we are talking Star Wars for the next 2-3 weeks here into the summer because we're reviewing Obi-Wan, like, I'm super excited. So I'll start off with that. This is more Star Wars, and I love it. But I don't know if this was necessary Star Wars, if that makes sense. Like, I love you, Justin. That's why I said you might have a little issue with this episode. I just don't know if it was 100% necessary. I don't know if it was necessary to bring Boba Fett back. Again, love you, Justin. But at the end of the day, he's back. He's alive. And they decided to make a show out of him. And I think it is okay. I think it's an okay show. It's like I said, it's more Star Wars. There's fun to be had. I agree with Joe that episode 5, the end of episode 4 going into episode 5 really is the best parts of this show. I did enjoy some of the beginning parts of like how Boba Fett, survived the desert and stuff like that. So some of that stuff was really cool. But again, I don't know if it was necessary. I think we'll get to more spoiler points here soon. But there's one huge problem that I have with this show, and it's based on the last couple episodes. So with that being said, I'm going to actually agree with Joe. Right on the dot. We're splitting it in half, 2.5. And if anything, that's because maybe half of the season was, something that I didn't necessarily care for. So, but we'll go 2.5 Tusken Raiders out of 5. So yeah, listeners, with that being said, we are going to get into some spoiler territory here. So if you have not seen the Book of Boba Fett, this is your official spoiler warning.
Except for that bit that I spoiled,
Yes.
Yeah.
A minute ago.
That one little bit. The snippet.
Maybe it's not true.
All right. Now it's your official spoiler warning. I did that because that was funny, so you should leave that in when you edit, Joe. There we go.
I planned on it, yeah. I was thinking about
All right, cool. Yeah, you're super funny. All right. Okay, that was your official spoiler warning, so if you have not seen the Book of Boba Fett, stop once again and go and watch it. Well, guys, let's start off on... Actually, you know what? I'll ask you guys, would you like to start off on the bad note or the good note?
I mean, that's an opinion piece. Which bad note and what good note?
No. Pros and cons. Which one would you like to do first?
Oh, let's break it down and build it back up.
What does that even mean?
Well, that doesn't make sense because you guys aren't going to build it back up to 2.5. It's going to be all me trying to build it back up.
So I guess let's build it up and then destroy it.
I want to be clear, Justin, that even though Joe and I are not high on this, there are still fun Star Wars stuff to be had. Like I really loved the back half of the series. So
yeah, they didn't say midichlorians once.
I know, it was crazy.
Okay, I'll start here. I'll start with the beginning because you guys didn't like the front half and I did. I know you guys haven't read a lot of the back lore and the extended novels and that kind of stuff back in the day, but Boba has technically fallen in the Sarlacc pit 3 times, from my knowledge, and survived every time. So even in season 1 of Mando, they put a nod of someone walking towards, with the spurs, and people were like, oh my God, it's Boba. It's got a cape. It's Boba. They're bringing Boba back. A beloved character that many, many, many fans love. To bring this back, it's the same as if they were to bring back Mace Windu, which is something that is up in the air right now. It's like a character that was short-lived, but loved very deeply. And I feel like seeing that story on the screen of how he survived and where he was and what he was doing and trying to get his armor back and earn respect from raiders alone, one of the worst kind of creatures you can come across in the desert. It shows that struggle and the character building that we needed of Boba. All we saw technically was in the prequels as a little boy, and then him just falling into a Sarlacc pit for the most part with Darth Vader. And that's it. That's really all you really saw of Boba. And still at that point, people loved him. So getting this backstory and this character building of learning where he's coming from and how he's going to achieve goals really set the foundation for the future. And I really feel like it was well deserved for a character that was loved by many. I feel like seeing him grow with the Tusken Raiders and seeing him teach them things that they would have never learned alone, I think those were all strong points. And I feel like what I said earlier was, on the back half, sure, they brought in Mandalorian, and that was really to set up Mando Season 3 coming out in December. I feel like they really wanted to tie everything together so that it was one big universe, and you felt like you would love these characters equally. Sure, everyone was looking at the silver armor, but the concrete evidence of this green Boba Fett is standing side by side with one of the most loved characters of the New Age. And I feel like that was really well done. I think that it was great shots, great action, great camera, work. It was phenomenal. I think it was a good job. That's why I gave it a 4.
All right.
Yeah, and like I agree with all those credences for you. This is a show that spoke to you way more than it did to us. So when we nick it here in a second, when me and Joe talk about some of the beginnings here that we didn't necessarily like, it's not against you or any Boba Fett fan. It's just
if it is Stay at Home Gamer with the 0 as the O on Twitter, or Joe Border
with an O as the 0.
Yeah.
So me and Joe have had conversations about this outside of the podcast. So I haven't talked to you, Justin, yet about Book of Boba Fett, but I mean, the reason why I say that maybe this show wasn't necessary, and Joe, I'll speak a little bit for you because I know you agree with me, but correct me if I'm wrong, was because the reason why I love Boba Fett was because he was mysterious, was because he was a bounty hunter that was BA in his own right. Yeah, he didn't get a lot of screen time or whatnot, but he had this sort of mystique to him, coupled with the armor. Like, the armor is awesome. Like, I love the armor. And he was a mysterious bounty hunter that we didn't know much about, that we can fill in the blanks about. Yeah, me and Joe didn't receive the extended universe or so, but at the end of the day, I think Boba Fett was best served as more of a mysterious, we don't know who this guy is, versus what I believe is not necessarily a super interesting character, at least the way that they portrayed him in the first 4 or so episodes. I believe that by the end of the season, and I'll praise it for this here, Justin, and I know you'll agree with me, I believe that by the end of the season, he is way more of an interesting character than at the beginning. Because at the end of the season, you get him actually establish his dominance, not only by brute force, but also as the crime lord of this area. I have a gripe with the whole Star Wars universe, and I'll get to that a little bit later, but I think Boba Fett is in a good spot at this point.
Yeah.
Joe, go ahead.
I think what you said was crime lord. Boba Fett is not a crime lord. Let's be clear. In this show, we watched how he was not a crime lord at all. In fact, how he was not an anti-hero, but a hero to this city, to this planet. He didn't do a single bad thing, crime thing. He merely stopped the spice trade on a planet. He helped save a town. I just meant in
the sense of his
He
status.
helped save another town.
I mean, he took Jabba the Hutt's status, and that he was the crime lord. That's all I meant.
Yeah,
but you're right. You're right.
I think it was a bad connotation that they gave him, because they called him that. They called him a crime lord. They treated him as though he was some sort of new mob boss or the Godfather or whatever. And I think that's it was a weird way to paint that picture, because what they gave you was, hey, he's taking over for Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt was a bad guy, right? He did bad things and traded in people and things, and Boba Fett, so far as we know in this series, hasn't done any of those things. He's saved people from poverty. He's saved towns from drug trade. He saved a city from a corrupt government. He saved people from other people who were actually trying to hurt them. Like, at no point was he acting as a crime lord. He just acted as, like, Batman. You know, he just happened to have the suit with the abilities to stop the bad guys.
Yeah.
So not a superhero, just a hero is what you're saying.
A hero, yeah. He was a hero, not an anti-hero, but just a hero.
Just like
he has
Batman.
a jetpack, pretty super.
Yeah,
pretty super.
Batarang versus.
You got money, you can get
Jetpack.
stuff.
But yeah, I thought it was weird that they
Superpower
kind
is
of
wealth.
did it that way.
We're not going to have a Batman argument in the middle of Joe's soliloquy about Mandalorian and this.
Just saying, he said he was a hero, not a superhero, just like Batman.
Yes. Anyways, moving past this, I did enjoy that we got some backstory. I am with Mike on did we need it? I don't think we did. I think that it was a show entirely made out of fan service because they knew how popular Boba Fett was. They know how much people love him. And so they took that and they said, okay, we'll give you a little bit more. We'll give him some of the cinematic universe and we'll give him some of that. But for I'm a fan of space wizards, right? I like the Jedi. I like the Sith. That's more my lane. I didn't care about Boba Fett 30 years ago when I first saw Star Wars. I don't care any more about him now. I thought he was a very
you were
interesting.
3 years old when you first saw Star Wars.
I was 2.
I had
time
the
watched
laser
Star Wars.
disc and I still have them, so that's where I saw them.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, my dad was a nerd. Thanks, Dad.
Same.
But I just it didn't do anything for me. The beginning was fun it was fun and confusing with the flashbacks. The way that they did that was a little bit I feel like they could have done something to let you know it was a flashback more than they did. But getting more for the show was worthwhile for sure. I mean, it was good that they gave us more because as you watch the show, you get nothing to begin with, and they're like, all right, well, why should I care? And then they finally give you the why should you care. They finally give you the understanding of the characters and they build them up. And I think they did a good job in that. But I wasn't looking for it. And after watching it, my favorite characters in the show were not Boba Fett, but my favorite character was Cobb Vanth, Marshall Vanth. I thought he was great.
And he was only in like 2 episodes.
Yep.
And okay, sure. So yeah, let's get over to kind of the end of the season. Some other gripes that I had before we move on to a little bit more positives.
Yeah, best moments. Are we gonna do best moments? Because there was some good ones.
Yeah, we are. We definitely are. We're gonna finish our cons here, and then we'll go into pros for sure.
I have a con.
One of my other bigger issues was like there were so many. One thing in particular I will say that was like extremely out of place for me and took me out was like the android people at the end, or the mech people, and the reason being is not their place in the lore, but rather the color and the vibrance that they had. Like, it was so misplaced in Tatooine, in my opinion. Like I got Power Ranger vibes because each of them had a different color motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
They were just like going through so like that. I mean, it just felt really out of place to me. And like at that point, like I wish more of the focus was on Boba Fett and Fennec. And at that point, Mando, like I wish the focus was kind of more on them. But at the end of the day, like they were okay in some of the fight scenes at the end. Like it was that one where he's carrying the Wookiee and he like does a twirl and then like shoots the guy.
Yeah.
Like
Spins around backwards.
Why are you doing that?
So
like that was the worst choreography I've ever seen. Justin, go ahead.
To speak on that in particular, that was really a angsty like minor gang that when you first met them did not trust Boba at all. And that was about character growth. That was about showing that even these rebels, even these characters that are, doing not so savory acts, began to trust him and saw him as a character that we could trust. And that was about character growth, really. And the fact that they would die for the town at the end instead of trying to rob it. That was a big, it's a good angsty teen, unlike some other shows that we talk about every week. I feel like it was well deserved. One of the gripes I had was
that a Halo dig?
That was a Halo dig. Yeah, forward until not anymore, Quan.
I love you that. I love you for that.
So one of my gripes was it had to do with Cad Bane. I don't know if you guys liked Cad Bane. I thought he was a great character in the whole Western sense, and they really portrayed him well with the CG and everything. It looked great. I wished we could have.
He was extremely underutilized.
Yes,
I feel like you're going that route.
I'm going to. I know you didn't like the flashbacks, or they should have been determined more. But when we first met him against Boba, they knew each other because they have a history in the lore. Mm-hmm. If you know Boba's helmet, literally the dent on the top of it is from Cad Bane, and we didn't get that sense of. Oh, we know each other. Why do we know each other? What happened? We didn't get that. We just got, we're going to duke it out every time we meet. And I don't know if I like that. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of that character relationship balance shown on screen. They did a great job with him. Very underutilized, like you said, but it was well worth it. Even up to the end with the final fight, it was good. I liked what they did with him.
So on a rework,
I wish he was the main villain. I really do, because he was. I didn't watch the Clone Wars, so I don't really know his lore, so to speak. But the way that he was portrayed in this show, if he was the villain, automatic 4+ for me. Okay. Automatic, because of how good he was.
Yeah, what they needed to do was rework all the flashbacks. Instead of Tusken Raiders and growing in his character, they could have had the same sort of character development and growth with his Cad Bane rivalry. They could have worked that in. You would have understood who he was and why he was a big deal. You have arguably, I think the little bit of extra lore that I know, it's not so small, but you have Boba Fett, bounty hunter, versus Cad Bane, bounty hunter. And these are the two best. There is no one better than these two. Mm-hmm. Out of the whole universe, you have the two best bounty hunters pitted against each other. Basically, taking the apprentice and master relationship and moving that into now it's apprentice turns against master or master turns against apprentice. Right? We get that all over again, but without space wizards.
Yeah.
No lightsabers, no Force, no Sith, no Jedi. Just blasters, rifles, and technique. They could have done a killer job because Cad Bane is the best bounty hunter versus Boba Fett, the best bounty hunter. Mm-hmm. And that would have been a sweet
I agree
show.
With you. I liked the Tusken Raider aspect, though. I did, because that showed another character building throughout the show. We saw Boba in Mando season 2, being a BA. He was used on all of his weapons at his side, and we saw him as Iron Man, pretty much. We saw him as someone that you don't mess with this guy, because he's got an arsenal of weapons. And having that Tusken Raider aspect of character building with some of the worst people or worst creatures in the galaxy, and then for the final fight with Cad Bane, he doesn't finish it with his arsenal of weapons. He goes back to where he was saved, where he grew initially. And I really like that closure to his character of, I'm going to use something different other than all of these weapons that everyone knows me for.
Yeah, I think there's merit to I think there's merit to the Tusken Raider scenes and episodes. Mm-hmm. I
like a Blanca.
Fear I fear that they had a bunch of missed opportunities with the current story by putting in a bunch of episodes of those flashbacks. I really do. I like a couple things that have already been said. If Cad Bane is the main villain of the whole show, Like, this is an automatic 4 for me. But also if his goings on within Mos Eisley like was more fleshed out, I think that would be a higher rating for me as well. Because I really enjoyed those moments where he's, figuring out how or where his space is in Mos Eisley, and just like how he's going to fit in to the current structure of the government, of crime, of anything really. I think that would have been a more compelling show. I think that the Tusken Raiders should get their own show. I think what they did prove is that this almost sort of mime culture here, like they talk, but like they're, I mean, that's just that's just how I'm using it. Maybe it's the wrong description, but like, just maybe fleshing out some of those tribes and like how the tribes got, separated and stuff like that. I think that'd be cool, but maybe like a shorter show of some sort. Anyway, couple more gripes with me, and then let's get to the pros, because I think Justin's getting a little antsy. I think they wasted an opportunity not putting Boba and Luke face to face in some sort of instance. Like that would have been, I think that would have been cool. If like, yo, you're supposed to be dead. In fact, I killed you. Like I put you in that Sarlacc pit. Like that would have been cool to me. And then also my final thing about this, Star Wars needs to get away from Tatooine. After the Obi-Wan show, they need to get away from Tatooine. Like they need to explore other galaxies. They need to explore other planets. Like they just really do. And I'm glad that, Ahsoka's coming. That show should not be focused on Tatooine. But Star Wars needs to get away from Tatooine for a little bit. So
I'm cool with Tatooine.
I think that the underutilization of pod racing on Tatooine needs to be a bigger concept. I want to see that again. No, Tatooine is really the start. A lot of stories that Star Wars start at Tatooine, and they're trying to build this universe from something that we all know. And we all know this city. We all know Mos Eisley. We know the Cantina. Fans of the show know this area. And to see different things go down in that area is very beneficial to us because we feel at home with it. I'm okay with it.
It's Tatooine,
but
the
yes,
planet with two suns.
Going somewhere else, going across the, in a galaxy far away. We should. As much as I want DLC for Lego Star Wars, I don't want to score another planet and another planet and another planet. It's a lot of content. But yes, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Switching it up every so often is good. That's what was good about Mando. You went different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's get to the pros, gentlemen. Let's end on a high note. I'm going to go Justin's way first. I want him to get the cats out of the bag with his positives here. I know you've said a lot of positives, but what else you got?
I have the high ground, Anakin. I feel like his character development is the highest point you can get. This mysterious character, as you said, that we didn't know much about. We learned about, and it's very hard. With Obi-Wan, we know this character. We know where he's going. We know what his goals are. But with this one, we didn't really have that. We had lore that isn't canon. We had a few little tidbits of information of what he did as a person, but we didn't really know who he was and who his character was and his traits of, is he a good person or not? And we got that with this show. And that's why I thought it was pretty well done. I think that all the action sequences, were pretty fleshed out, and I feel like they were well done. I think that it kept you along for the ride, even if the first few episodes were a little slower, but that's what you get with learning a new character. You need to have that foundation before you get the good stuff. And I'm glad that once the good stuff hit, it didn't stop. You kept getting good stuff until the end. And that's what makes a good show. Yeah, sure. Learn that character, get the development, earn their trust in your own heart, and then get into the good nitty gritty action that we love in Star Wars. And I think they did a good job with that throughout the entire show.
All right.
Joe.
I like it. Can I just hit on some points that I liked?
Yeah.
Cool. Boba Fett's escape from the Sarlacc pit was cool. Like,
Yeah.
whether or not it needed to happen, whether or not it's happened several times in the past, that was cool. Like, getting to watch him escape the Sarlacc pit was fun. The way they did it was fun. The punching through the sand and climbing out of it, like, it was just good. They did a good job with it. I liked it. I thought it was fun. So it reminded me of a Western at several points. The train robbery. The train robbery was classic train robbery Western style. Like, it was super fun the way they were like roping onto it and jumping onto it, and like they basically took over a train. Now, this is a bad guy's train, so they were doing a good thing here. They weren't just robbing a train like bandits. They were actually protecting the planet from the spice trade. Again, back to the point where Boba Fett's actually a good guy. Despite what everyone says, he's just a good guy. We can call him Dog the Bounty Hunter because he's just a good guy. I loved the reveal of Cobb Vanth. I think it was really well done, especially Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
And Vanth. But that standoff was amazing. The reveal of Cad Bane, where they gave you that same sort of at the feet and then panned up on him. Fantastic. Loved it. The eyes, super creepy. Let's see. Working my way through the series. The Rancor. Danny Trejo showing up. Delivering a Rancor. Getting a Rancor
Trejo
back in the
is
pit.
Canon now for Star Wars.
Which is awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
The Rancor itself was amazing. Easily one of the best scenes in the show was the relationship building with the Rancor, and then the Rancor fight. What would you call? I don't know what you call that, but like
riding a beast. That's what it is.
Yeah, basically, he comes in at the end when all hope is lost, and well, we've got a Rancor now, so good luck with that. The Tatooine fighter, when they rebuilt the jet, I don't know what the name of it is, but that was awesome. New ship. Yeah. Mando got the new ship, and it's a throwback to the original
Naboo
ship
starfighter.
from Naboo. Was super fun. I loved they were able to bring back one of the older ships to put because the designs of the ships were so different from the original trilogy to the prequel trilogy. For them to be able to kind of meld that into something that actually works in the newest set, I thought was really, really cool. I didn't think they'd be able to do a good job with that. I was actually worried that they would be able or wouldn't be able to kind of meld those together, and they did a great job with it. And then, obviously the clear winner for me is getting Mando back in. So when they introduced Din Djarin back in and he became part of the show again, I was very, very excited. And for me, that's where it picked up the most, was like, okay, we got Mando back in it, we've got Boba Fett, we've got the assassin chick whose name I can't remember.
Fennec.
Yes, Fennec Varric. Is that
Fennec Shand.
Yeah, that is.
You're
welcome.
Sniper, she's great.
And then we got a little bit of Luke, a little bit of Shokatana, and a little bit of Grogu. And for that, I felt it was just enough to be a tease for season 3 of Mandalorian. They probably could have dialed that back even a little bit, and I still would have been okay with it. But what I wanted, and I think a lot of people who were watching this wanted, was that team up again, because the team up was so good in Mando season 2. How could there not be another team up like this in Boba Fett season? And it was in my opinion the best part of the series was when he came back in and they had to save the town from the corrupt government and the spice trade. It was great.
Just that first scene where they're flying out of the building and they cross in jetpacks and are just shooting. That was an Avengers moment right there. It was so good for a small screen.
Yeah. Man, so many good, awesome scenes and things happening once the Mandalorian does show back up. I really do think, and you guys might disagree with me, but I really do think that Mandalorian is the best part of Star Wars right now. I think that.
But space
I think that
wizards.
it's. I think that there's a lot of things that Ahsoka will have to say once that show does get released as well. And we got to see where Obi-Wan is at and what lies in store with that. But Mando and Grogu and the future of Star Wars with them is really good. I'll even throw this out at you, Justin. I want to see Boba Fett continue to come back as a side character in these shows. I don't know if he needs another season, but he needs to be around. I think he needs to be around as far as cameos, because the two Mandalorians are the future of Star Wars right now, as we know it. Mm-hmm. I think the underutilization of Luke Skywalker was actually a positive. I didn't think that he needed to come back to Tatooine and him be the savior and lightsabers, everywhere. Like I think that was perfect. I think my favorite part of the show is Grogu choosing Mando. I really do. Oh. Like, you don't?
No, I agree. It's a good part of the show, but it wasn't really needed. It was all set up for Mando season 3. Like I said, I feel like it was great to see that character building, even with Mando after 2 seasons of Mandalorian. I feel like Grogu really had to make that choice, one or the other, and that's what now Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is that, like, that's why I did start off this talk with, like, was this show really necessary? Because to be frank, like, what I believe at this point was that this show was just a conduit to get Grogu back to Mandalorian. Like, that's really what it came down to be. Obviously, there was a little bit more to that when, with Cad Bane showing up and Boba Fett really establishing himself as a leader within Mos Eisley. But at the end of the day, like, the aspect of Grogu choosing Mando and the future of Grogu specifically is what I'm most excited about. Because here's the thing. We have known, at least in the live action, we have known a Force user to also be a lightsaber user. And I love the aspect of a very powerful Force wielder in Grogu not tied to a lightsaber as well. And I love the future of that. I like saying, he's not necessarily a Jedi, even though he is probably choosing the good side of the Force, but he's not tied to a lightsaber. And I love that aspect of just, like, this all-powerful, like, Force wielder for the future of Star Wars. I really do. Like, lightsabers are awesome. Lightsabers are fun. Lightsabers are cool. But at the end of the day, like, I think that there is something here with Grogu just being a Force-wielding powerhouse in the future. I mean, who knows how much they're going to develop that. Hopefully they do a good amount. We'll end up seeing. So I know Joe is shaking his head and disagrees with my lightsaber. Disagrees with my lightsaber take, but I think the future, you have Ahsoka and you have that depth with the lightsaber, and then you have Grogu, like this Force wielding powerhouse. So I really like that future. And then obviously Mandalorian, he needs to learn how to use that black saber. So we're gonna have lightsabers in the future. Dark saber. Sorry.
Yeah. Also, you have Grogu traveling with the guy who has the darksaber. If you don't think that Grogu's going to have a lightsaber, you're crazy. Grogu will have a lightsaber. It's not going to be Yoda's lightsaber. He'll be
using the darksaber. Yeah.
But he'll have a lightsaber.
He's not going to be using the darksaber.
Okay, so another big thing that I thought would be interesting, I know it's not technically like 100% fact yet, but Grogu was at the temple when Order 66 took place, and he was taken away from the temple and protected. So if he went to go train and then turned it down, imagine what that did for the Jedis, like it's just like, oh well, that train has been already left station and he's not coming back. So their hope for another Jedi user that they protected originally is just gone. So I don't think that Grogu will give up the Jedi training. I think that he'll be back. I think that he will be a wielder for sure, and I think it will be the Darksaber. I think Mando is not the proper hand on that saber, and I think that Grogu jumping around using a Darksaber and Force powers is going to be in the future for sure.
But that's not written in any of the lore. That's not written in any of the lore. Like a Mandalorian has to hold the Darksaber.
Yeah, like Grogu chose the armor, which means he is technically a Mandalorian recruit, which is true, and that is lore, which means he can wield the Darksaber.
I don't think it'll go that route.
Happen.
Yeah, I'm on that page. I think that what will happen is Mando will have to learn and be trained how to use the Darksaber, hopefully by a Jedi. Whether that be Luke or Ahsoka Tano or someone else showing up, they're going to teach him how to wield a lightsaber, or the Darksaber technically. I would love to see that. I want to see Grogu become more powerful in the Force first, as I believe that Yoda did, because Yoda's Force abilities were unparalleled. He's the only one that we know who could catch lightning, redirect it, or catch it and then negate it.
Yeah, absorb it.
So yeah, he can absorb that. I would love to see Grogu get to that point where he can also do those things, and then give him a lightsaber, because he's gonna have one. Like, it'll happen.
I hope they don't.
I hope they don't. Two options. I guys want you to vote on them. Do you more see Grogu wearing Mando armor with like jetpack and missiles and stuff, and those kind of weapons, or do you see him holding the Darksaber?
No.
Which one do you see more happening?
A lightsaber.
Okay. Darksaber.
Not the Darksaber, but a lightsaber.
The Darksaber.
Those are your two options. You can't switch it.
No, I'm switching it. Lightsaber, okay. if I have to choose.
I hope he ends up with the temple saber. Give me a yellow one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going that route.
No one does.
I mean, yeah, certainly. They're going to have to write it so that it fits with, obviously the sequel trilogy, which The Last Jedi is Rey. So, I mean, who knows if Grogu is still around, as far as that goes. Obviously, we don't know also if Ahsoka is not around either. So we don't know that. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things to still explore in the Star Wars universe, and I am very happy that for the most part it's kind of getting away from the Skywalker saga, and we're exploring these new stories and new adventures with different characters that are growing on our really like list, like Grogu and Mandalorian and now Boba Fett. Like I still like where he ended up with that. Him riding a Rancor at the end, just completely demolishing everything in his path. Like that was so fun to watch as well. And then finally, more Ming-Na Wen as Fennec, please. More Fennec, please. Like she's awesome. Hope that they bring her back. Justin, I'm going to surprise you. I think with some of your arguments and some of your stuff that you said, you swayed me up to a 3. So I'm bringing it up to a 3. Tusken Raider out of 5. So, all right. Little teaser to come here. We're going to be doing a review of the prequel trilogy, but from the lens of Obi-Wan. And so we'll be calling it Obi-Wan's Phantom Menace, Attack of Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. So there are going to be 3 separate podcasts, 3 separate YouTube videos as well for each of those movies. And so be excited for that. And then we will be recording an episode each review of every single episode of Obi-Wan. So we're going to try it. We've never done a weekly review before. There's probably going to be maybe a mix and match of people who show up on the podcast. Maybe not every single week, all 3 of us will be there, but we're going to try our best to make it so. And we're really excited to review every single episode of that. So many things in the content plan with What the Fun Show, with Test Your Might as well. We don't want to forget that. But What the Fun Show has a lot of stuff planned. And Justin, I'm sorry, didn't talk to you about this, but What the Fun Show is going to have some exclusive YouTube content as well. Me and Joe were talking about this, and me and Justin, I'm sure Justin will agree that we just want to drive some people to YouTube specifically. So we're going to be doing a bunch of Star Wars tier lists to be released on YouTube specifically, to kind of lean those towards our YouTube channel. So hopefully, Justin, you're okay with that. Sorry, didn't run that by you, but I figured you would be, so that we could grow that YouTube channel. And because those tier lists, like I hope you agree, but like the Batman ones, like that we did, much better watch than a listen. Do you agree with that at least?
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's the visuals, we're moving around tiles, and it really allows viewers to watch and see where we're moving things and how we're deciding things by moving. So it works better that way.
So Justin has some really cool ideas for some tier lists coming up in the future with Star Wars, as well as some other content in the future. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel for that. So make sure you're subscribed. We would really appreciate it. Once again, we're on the road to 100 subscribers. Well, this was kind of our review of the Book of Boba Fett. What did you think about the Book of Boba Fett? Let us know down in the comment section or in a podcast review, and we'll be sure to read it on one of our upcoming episodes. This has been the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike. That is Justin. That is Joe. And we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
When you said that line, we have a Rancor, I was like just thinking Loki being like, we have an army. We have a Rancor, and then he just comes in on it.
But we have a Hulk.
Yeah, instead of Hulk. Yeah.